Hello and welcome to this week's live stream. How are you doing, Rach? You okay?
I'm good. We haven't done one of these in a while, have we?
I know you've been on holiday and then we've had a little bit of stuff going on behind the scenes. So it's been good to kind of get back to it. We've got so much to chat about, haven't we?
Definitely. There's so much to chat about, and we can't wait to chat about with you, Royal Community. I can get my words out. So, any comments about anything we're chatting about, leave them below, and we'll try and read them out at the end. But yeah, shall we get straight into it, shall?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm going to be starting off with the really exciting news. There is a documentary that's happening tonight based on Prince William's Homewood initiative. So let's start off. If you're not quite sure what the initiative is, Prince William's Homewards initiative was started in June 2023. And now across the next 5 years, this project aims to tackle homelessness across the UK. Now, they aim to do this by working closely with communities, charities, businesses, and local councils, all to come together to solve homelessness. Now, it was inspired by successful models from other countries like Finland. Along with this initiative, like I just mentioned, there comes a two-part documentary. Now, this is called Prince William, We Can End Homelessness, and it's directed by BAFTA winning director Leo Burley. And Raw Community, if you're lucky enough to be watching this live or on the day, then it's actually airing tonight and tomorrow night on ITV here in the UK, or and we never tend to say this, Rach, but actually globally, Raw Community, everyone can watch it if you do have Disney Plus too. So I think that is a massive benefit, isn't it? Because usually it's just like, it's only in the UK, I'm sorry, you might have to get a VPN or whatever. No, this is actually happening globally if you've got Disney Plus as well, which is amazing.
Yeah,
So
and that's from the 1st of November, the
yeah,
Disney Plus one.
that's correct. Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about the documentary. It's filmed over 12 months. And during that 12 months, they had access to William throughout that time. And it also goes behind the scenes of the initiative, documenting the progress and, the impact that it's been having with the people they're working with. And it actually includes life-changing stories. Right, I've already seen the trailer. Oh gosh, it's gonna be a tearjerker, I'm telling you. So yeah, life-changing stories from those who are currently experiencing homelessness in 6 different pilot areas across the UK, along with the life-changing solutions they have in order to tackle homelessness. So the first question I've got for you, Rach, is: are you going to be watching the documentary?
Oh, definitely. I don't have time tonight to watch it, but I will be watching it on catch up. And I was actually thinking, as you were saying that, Shell, I wonder if Dave will make an appearance. Do you remember
Yeah.
Dave from The Big Issue?
The big issue. I've just put my light on. I just remembered. I didn't have my light on. Yes, I thought it was so lovely because William was on the front page of the big issue for his 40th birthday, wasn't he?
Yeah, exactly. And we've seen them together a few times. So I wonder if he'll be involved at all or he'll be interviewed. So that'll be really interesting to see if he is, because he's got a bit of a connection to William at this point, hasn't he?
Absolutely. When you said Dave, I was like, all the Daves I know. Hang on a minute. And then it twigged. So I always kind of cast my mind back to the launch of Homeward, Rach, because William went on this crusade of going to engagements across the UK, especially in those pilot areas. But he didn't go alone, did he? He went with was it Jerry Halliwell, the Spice Girl, or Jerry Halliwell Horner is what she's called now, isn't it? And also he connected with a lot of famous names: Sarah Cox, Stephen Bartlett, and these kind of influential celebrities and business people. They were connected to Homewood because they're either passionately advocating for change within homelessness, or they've actually been personally affected by homelessness to themselves or a family member. So that was really lovely to kind of boost the start of it. But actually, we tend not to hear very much about Homewood, and then all of a sudden I think this documentary is filling in the gaps, because Raw Community, we always say, don't we, well, they've done one engagement for that day, but what have they done for the rest of the day? It's all of this stuff they're doing. And when you see the documentary, you realize how many I want to say fingers in pies William has, because he's got so many initiatives and projects, and they're all so meaningful. Rach, as well, I want to say, did you see the lovely pictures of William with his mum, Diana, Princess of Wales, at, I think it was Passage charity in 1993. Did you see this week? They were
Yeah.
released.
Yeah, we've seen photos like that in the past, haven't we, of William and Harry when they visited with Diana back in the day. Like you said, I think it's going to be interesting to see as well, because a lot of people will say, the naysayers will say, well, what does he know about this subject? How can a millionaire possibly know about what it feels like to be homeless? But I think I've seen a clip of him saying exactly that, but I can use my position to highlight and to bring people together, like these people that you just mentioned, and really try to tackle. And like you said, it's happened in Finland, it's been eradicated, so why can't it happen here in the UK?
Yeah, I've watched a documentary on the Finland project actually. It's so interesting, and it's going to be quite interesting to see how that is the same or differs slightly from Homewood in this documentary. And I wanted in preparation for my notes today. I was looking at the Homewood website. Now, what I've done in the links to the description of the live stream, I've put the Homewood website. So if you want to find out more information, and I've also put Homewood YouTube channel. So if you are watching us on YouTube right now, you're more than welcome to go on over and maybe subscribe and find out a little bit more about how they're going to be tackling homelessness. And on their website, it says, Rach, 300,000 people in the UK are without a place they call home. And that's just so upsetting, isn't it? Because that's a big number, especially in a developed country, an affluent country. It's remarkable, really.
Yeah, and I think, this documentary is going to be, as you said, again, over 2 nights. So I think it will be interesting, because I think back in the day of the podcast, when Homewards was initially announced, and even before that, I predicted that when William became Duke of Cornwall, that he would use his land for a project like this, and that is exactly what's happening. Like, the Duchy of Cornwall is one of the places where they've said that they would like to build in the future. So it's going to be interesting to see and hear from William himself and the team that is supporting this initiative, to really know and find out what's going to happen and what their plan is and what the roadmap is and how many years this is going to take. So yeah, I think it's going to be really interesting to watch, and I think it will be quite upsetting as well.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, watching that little clip on ITV trailer, you can, but it's also uplifting. There's issues, but there's also solutions and how they're working together. And I will say this: I just really applaud him, because nobody else. I feel like somebody with the I want to say king power, but the prince power of William is the right person for this type of initiative, bringing everybody together, because some people live in a little business bubble or a community bubble or a local council bubble. Having someone in royalty brings all those people together in a very powerful way, and I'm just really excited actually to see what's going to happen in the next 5 years. I mean, probably a year into it already, so let's see what progress they've already made. And I think the big question here, and is the question that is the title of the live stream, can William end homelessness? Well, I'm going to say he can't do it on his own, but he's a really great person to start it off, get the ball rolling, get the right people in the right rooms making the right decisions, and maybe that's going to be the start of ending homelessness. What's your thoughts on that, Rach?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we've seen exactly that, William's position and power and what he's done and doing so far with the Earthshot Prize, which we'll be talking about when that happens. That's coming up as well. So we'll be talking about that in a few weeks' time, I think it is. That's happening, the Earthshot Prize Awards. So William is an influential person, like you said. Like, he's got so many connections, he knows so many people, and the right people as well. So it's not William himself, but he is going to be the figurehead of this campaign. So it'll be, as I said, it'll be interesting to see what happens.
Yeah, absolutely. And long may it prosper and help so many other people as well. So yeah. What are we moving on to next,
Exactly.
Rach?
So we are talking about the King and Queen Camilla's visit to Australia and Samoa. And oh my goodness, Shell, we always say this, but they packed so much in, didn't they?
They did. I mean, it was what? How many days in total did you just say it? Sorry, I think my brain went a bit.
I didn't say it. No, I'm not sure how many days in total it was, but it was just. I felt like they packed about 3 weeks worth of engagements into
Mhm.
into a few short days. So,
Yeah.
so first of all, the King and Queen were in Australia, and I have to say, what I loved about both countries, but particularly Australia, was the crowds just came out in force for them, didn't they? And it was just so incredible to see, because I always think there's this thought of some people that the King and Queen Camilla don't have the pulling power that, say, William and Catherine have. And I think it's fair to say William and Catherine go on a tour like this in the future. The crowds may be bigger, but the fact that they were there for the King and Queen Camilla, it just really touched me. It was really lovely to see how many people turned up for them. And also not forgetting that the King, this is the first country that he's visited where he is the King of Australia. And it's weird to say that because we never really think about that, do we?
Yeah, and having it announced as well, the King of Australia. It's lovely, actually. It's so lovely for the Australian people to get their king in their own country and, not watch things on the telly. He's right there. You could go see him, maybe shake his hand.
Yeah, exactly. And it was estimated that between 10 to 20,000 people turned up in Australia over the course of the few days that they were there. So
Wow.
it was lovely to see. And I know that on their national networks, on their local networks, this was being picked up. It was quite a big news story, the fact that they were there for that visit. So again, really great to see. Their first engagement was in Sydney at a church service at St Thomas's, and I just want to shout out our Royal Community member Eleanor and her daughter, who went to St Thomas's, and they actually got to meet the King.
Love it. What an experience. I mean, we've met the King before, so we know how special it is. But actually, for a Royal Community member in Australia, that's just like, wow. I think this is a conversation, like a kind of dinner conversation she could be talking about in 20 years' time. Absolutely love it.
Yeah, and it was so great hearing her story because she is part of our VIP Royal Community. So we heard her talking about it all the other day on our Zoom call, which we have monthly. And if you want to become a member of that, we'll pop the link in the show notes. But what a great memory, not just for her, but to have with her daughter as well. And she's going to grow up a royal fan, which is fantastic. Royal watching has become at an early age, so which is just amazing. They also visited the Australian War Museum, where the King laid a wreath at the tomb of the unknown Australian soldier. And their Majesties are the first members of the royal family who have been able to formally acknowledge Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander veterans at the new memorial. So I'm very sorry if I mispronounced any of those words. Forgive me, please.
Yeah, we're not very good with the pronunciation, are we, Rachel? We try our best.
Yeah. We also saw a lovely scene of them spending the afternoon at the Australian Botanical Gardens, which has a collection of over 70,000 native Australian flower and plant species. And I just thought, this is just so up their alley. Like, I can just imagine that was just, although it was an official engagement, they probably really enjoyed that because they're keen gardeners, aren't they?
Oh, absolutely. There might even be some tree belies there, Rach, right?
There might be. There might be. I think I might be incorrect in saying this, but I think I did read that a tree was planted there for the Queen's green canopy.
Nice.
So yeah, that was a really nice touch. Let's move on to Queen Camilla. She joined a discussion on family and domestic violence. And according to the Australian Institute of Criminology, 1 in 5 women have experienced sexual violence and 1 in 3 women have experienced physical violence. So this was a really important engagement. And what I saw throughout Australia and Samoa is that there were several of these engagements, just like when she's doing visits here in the UK. She sticks to those subjects. So it's normally anything to do with domestic violence or literacy. Those are like her main subjects that she really cares about and she's really an advocate for. One of their last engagements in Australia was a barbecue at Parramatta Park. Again, sorry.
You're trying your best. These are hard words.
Where they were joined by community leaders, volunteers, school children, and charity workers. And again, this was just great because it was kind of like what they have here in the UK, a garden party. So it's just lovely to see them talking amongst the people that are everyday people, but sometimes they do extraordinary things in their everyday lives. So it's just nice to see those people get recognised in that way. Obviously, as I said, the King and Queen Camilla, they packed so much into Australia. And if you want to check out anything that they've done, I would thoroughly recommend going onto the Royal Socials, because one thing I will say is they did really keep us up to date, the Royal Socials. Sometimes they are lacking a bit, but on this tour in particular, they was on it. Every single engagement had a post. It was great across Twitter, X, across Instagram, and also on their royal family website as well. So anything that we haven't spoken about, because as I say, there was a lot packed in. One of my memories of that tour was the crowds outside Sydney Opera House. They were just incredible. I just couldn't believe it. And one of our royal community members said how hot it was at the time, because they're coming up for summer in Australia. People keep waiting for hours to see them. And I think what was great about this is the King in particular, he made sure that he walked up one way and then back down the other, so that both sides got a view of him, because that's what you're waiting for, isn't it? You want to see the King. You've waited hours for that one shot. That's probably one of the only times, especially in Australia, that you're going to see the King. So just incredible. I was just so thankful to everybody that turned out for them. Absolutely amazing.
I couldn't agree with you more. And also, he's not in Australia all the time, right? So when he's there, let his people see him. Like you were just saying, it's an important thing. But Rach, how are they doing that with the amount of engagements in the day and then being able to appease the crowds that are waiting? That must have been so stressful for them, but also they managed it with so much ease, and they just look like, I mean, I will say this, there was some moments where I think Queen Camilla looked like she was really like, this is hot. I'm struggling a little bit, but nonetheless, I think the King really did work especially like he's got cancer. He's going through cancer treatment, which did stop, didn't they? They have paused that whilst he's in Australia. But he's such a trooper. And to be that age and to be so generous with the amount of time in between all of the other things and the engagements and the people he has to meet, I think it was just extraordinary, this tour.
Yeah, and he was overheard saying to someone that it's his goal to visit every Commonwealth country, which again, at the age of 73, I thought was amazing to say. And Buckingham Palace did actually announce that next year they will be back to normal engagements. So I'm expecting to see a lot more of the King and Queen Camilla next year. Yeah. So great news from Buckingham Palace. Let's move on to Samoa, where they attended an Ava welcome ceremony at the National University of Samoa.
I love this.
This ceremony consists of sipping a drink from Ava bowls, which are a symbol of Samoan hospitality and play a role in the rituals and celebrations of Pacific Islanders. This was great to see. Absolutely great to see. And it was very different. Like, I loved like how their outfits fit that Islander theme as well. And I was
there for it. Bring it on.
I actually read that the King helped design his safari outfit that he was wearing.
Love it. Absolutely. I thought he looked great.
Yeah.
I thought it was so fitting, and there was just, we've never seen the King we probably have, but he just seemed really easy breezy. There was this elegance, but also casual laid backness. It really fit in with that, but he also stood out. It was chef's kiss for me. I thought it was an absolutely brilliant, brilliant outfit for him to wear for his arrival and his, welcome ceremony, which the people of Samoa, like we had the people of Australia, but the people of Samoa, they really did. There was such a grand welcome. I loved it.
Yeah, it was really great to see. Queen Camilla visited the Aoga, I can't even pronounce this word, Faefu,
I think you did well. Well done.
which is one of Samoa's earliest primary education programs, which is credited for the country's high literacy levels. And in Moata's village, she spent time with school children.
I love this one too. They did some
was
singing.
so
I loved
great.
it.
It was so great to see all the kids getting involved. I love visits like this. She also attended an event where she gave the keynote speech in recognition of Commonwealth efforts to end gender-based violence, and you can read the speech over on the Royal Family's website. And she also opened the Queen Camilla Preschool of Hope, a Samoa victim support group which raises awareness and educates young people for tackling and preventing violence against women and girls.
Amazing. Absolutely. Incredible.
Yeah. Again, so great to see the subjects that she's passionate about, these events and these engagements that she went to, because they're like what she's loves getting involved with. So great to see. The King attended the Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting. Now, this is one of the main reasons that they went to Samoa, and it brings together leaders from 56 countries every 2 years to discuss how they can work together to affect change. And again, you can read His Majesty's speech over on the Royal Family website. So we'll link that Royal Family website below. And to finish off, again, they packed so much in, but we haven't got time to talk about every single engagement. We'd be here for like 3 weeks. 2 beautiful new photos were released, and they were taken by our favourite royal photographer, Chris Jackson, CJ himself.
CJ himself, we got
CJ. This. What I loved about these photographs is they just looked like so casual, so like with each other. There's the one shot and they're like linking arms, and I was just like, oh, it's just so lovely to see. It's just so lovely to see. And I think you could really tell, especially the King, he really enjoyed this tour. And I think it was a long time coming, because they were supposed to go on a tour, but because he got sick, that was postponed. So we've not really seen much of the King this year. We've seen him here and there on certain engagements, and understandably so, because he is going through his cancer treatment. But it was just so nice to see him, and see him looking so well and in his element, getting involved, chatting to people. And I think this is probably one of the things that he misses the most about when he's not meeting people.
Yeah, absolutely. And that is one massive part of the duty, isn't it? Being there for your people, being seen, showing up, being a person of influence, maybe not the King, but more of a royal duty type, and really affecting making sure change is happening, or that the people around you are being cared for in a way. And maybe that's not the role of the King as such, maybe, like I say, William, but still, that is part of the duty. And to not see him is being quite jarring, actually. I will say that, Rach. And I think maybe as well, not seeing Catherine, the Princess of Wales, that has been a jarring thing for somebody, within the royal community, because those are 2 major players of the royal family, and they're just really missed. And it's going to be great to see the King back to regular scheduling, shall we say, next year. But hopefully, fingers crossed, that also means that he's on his way to a recovery with cancer, and that his treatment's finished. We don't know any of that yet, but fingers crossed we'll get that information. And long live the King is what I say. Bring it on. We need more engagements. We love it. We love being out and about.
So I think overall it was a successful tour for both Australia and Samoa. We've got some big engagements coming up. So as we mentioned before, we've got the Earthshot Prize, Williams Earthshot Prize Awards. We've also got Remembrance Sunday, and the King and Queen will probably attend that, and we're hoping Catherine will. And then the next big thing is Catherine's Christmas Carol concert, which we've absolutely loved ever since it started. It's become like our tradition now, hasn't it? Christmas Eve to watch that.
I love it. I loved getting like a box of After Eights, or the cheap ones,
Yeah.
because I like the cheaper After Eights. But anyway,
Yeah.
and just like sitting there with my mum. It's usually on a bit like, what is it, about 6 o'clock, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And do you know what's great about it is, even if you're not religious, you can get into it. And there was last year, it was that there was people on singing, and mum was like, "Who's this?" I was like, "I have no idea." She's like, "Well, if you don't know, I'm not gonna know. What song's this? I've never heard this song. This isn't a Christmas song. This isn't a Christian song."
Yeah. But that's it, isn't it? It's for all ages. So if you didn't know who it was, or your mum didn't, maybe your niece did, or do you see what I mean? It's such a family event, and what I love the most is everybody in that congregation of people who have been affected or have seen maybe a royal or have part of the charities. So yeah, it's such a special event for sure. And like I say, it is one of our favorites, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
I also wanted to mention, Rach, because we can't talk about the royal tour of Australia and Samoa without talking about the anti-monarchist sentiment that was there. And we know firsthand how the king interacts or don't interact with people who are protesting. You know, in the UK, we have the Not My King protesters. They're well within their rights to protest. But I just find that when he is in those engagements where there is a lot of congregation of people who are, dislike the monarchy, he is so gracious, and even the people that are next to them, he will go right up to them, won't he, and greet them. And I literally thought he would go, "Oh, there's the protesters over in that corner. I'm not going over there." But he totally just goes straight over and walks around. And I feel that way with especially in Australia, actually. It didn't phase him. He literally just got on with the job at hand. And I'm just so glad that all the Australian royal community and the community in Samoa got to see the king and have a positive experience with him. But what do you think? Do you think that it's kind of marred the experience a little bit, or did you think it was not? He didn't get phased by it at all?
No, I don't think so, because there was that one incident in Australia. I think the woman's name was Lydia Thorpe.
Hmm.
I think I'm correct in saying that. Who was shouting things like "Give us back our bones," and I can't remember what else she was saying. But she was speaking on behalf of Aborigine people, and then one of the Aboriginal leaders actually said, "No, she doesn't speak for us. That's not how every Aboriginal person thinks about the monarchy." So I think it was quite interesting, because yes, there is anti-monarchy sentiments, but I think even when the Queen Elizabeth II was alive, that would have happened. But I feel like everybody at that point, the Queen had been Queen for so long. Especially here in the UK, you grow up knowing who the Queen is. And obviously, towards the end of her life, she's in her 90s. So you don't really want to protest against a little old lady who's in her 90s, do you?
Boo!
Yeah. But I think, like you said, like the king is so gracious, and he does, like, he's not phased. He probably is phased by it, but he doesn't let it show, and that's what's so great about him. And they obviously know that there's going to be people like that, but I think that's what's great, is you always have a minority of people, and then you have 10 plus that one minority that will drown out the boos and cheer louder for them. So, which is, I think that's the way it's always going to be, isn't it? There's always going to be people that are anti-establishment, and that's their prerogative, but not everybody feels that way.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm just so glad that the people who we have spoken to who did meet the Charles and Camilla whilst on the tours actually had such a positive experience and was so happy. So I just want to say, if you did meet the King and Queen Camilla, pop in the comments below, let us know what your experience was, and whether you had a positive experience. Like, what was it? Did you make friends? Because you always make friends on a royal engagement. Like, when you go out to royal watch, there's always people there who you can have a good old chat to, and just reminisce about maybe times that you've seen them, or what you've got planned, and there's just so much to chat about. So if you're ever thinking of going to see anyone royal and think, oh, I'm just on my own, you will always make a friend. You will always make a friend. So
You'll
don't ever
always
let
make
that
it.
stop you.
And the thing is as well, you're normally standing there for hours before they arrive. So it's one of those things like, well, you kind of have to make friends because otherwise you're just going to be by yourself.
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, you know, firsthand meeting the king, we know what that experience is like. So even though we had protesters when we met him, we didn't let that dampen our experience whatsoever.
Yeah,
actually,
absolutely.
It was quite funny because even before the king turned up, there were people, the supporters of the monarchy, were booing the protesters.
Full circle moment, right?
Yeah.
So I just wanted to say for everyone who is watching on YouTube, or if you are listening on the podcast, you want to come over to YouTube, we have a We Met the King video on here. We also have, because we mentioned CJ, Chris Jackson, a bit earlier, we have a vlog of us going to see his exhibition at the Lanesborough Hotel. And also, I mean, we're talking about royal meetings. We have to also say about when we actually, well, when Rachel first ever saw the Queen outside Buckingham Palace, and we've got a vlog on that as well. So make sure you head on over to our channel and watch some of the vlogs, because there's quite a lot over there of our royal meetings and that type of thing. So just before we leave, I wanted to just mention that I'm rewatching Victoria, which is an ITV. It was on ITV, wasn't it? Right?
Yeah,
It was ITV,
ITV, yeah.
An ITV program. Jenna Coleman plays Queen Victoria, and I just fell in love with her all over again. Rach, I'm on series 2, and I text Rachel yesterday. I was like, I mean, this is a spoiler, but it's not, because I mean it's 2024. But when Dash dies. I just messaged Rachel. I was like, oh no, I'm so sad. Yeah,
Dash was Victoria's King Charles Spaniel. Charles Spaniel, that's it.
Yeah, oh gosh.
But he was like her little friend. So sad when he dies. And we've said it before, if you ever go to Kensington Palace, because the part of Kensington Palace that you go into, it's like a museum about Victoria's childhood, and as you go in, there's these sounds playing. It's a little girl laughing, and you hear her going Dash, Dash, and you can hear like a little like pause like against the floor. It's so cute.
It's so cute. And then knowing about her childhood and how lonely she was, and Dash was her friend, and then I can't handle it. But it's such a great series. So if you haven't seen it and you've got a VPN or you've got ITV, watch it. I think it's even on Netflix now, isn't it? But I'd highly suggest watching it. I just loved it. I don't know how accurate it is. I mean, I know a lot about Victoria, but not enough to like kind of fact check it. So I was kind of Googling the fact checking whilst I was going as I was watching it. But such a great series, and the costume's great, and yeah, I couldn't highly recommend it enough. So yeah, that's that for me. And I don't know if I told you, Rach, but Royal Community, I hurt my ankle this week. We're going into live stuff now, and it's the reason why I look a bit disheveled today, because I literally am just in pain. So
you look fine.
I got an X-ray. Did I tell you I had an X-ray, Rach?
No.
Yeah.
Royal Community, if you don't want to listen anymore, then
off you go. I got an X-ray, and it's just soft tissue damage. So I literally have just been just elevating the leg. So yeah, I've been watching Victoria for that amount of time so it kept me busy. Thank you so much for being here. Let us know what your thoughts are about everything that we've spoken about in today's live. And lovely to see you all. Thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you next week on Keeping Up with the Windsors.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Bye.